Good day. Hello, CJ, Sister Jeannie, CW, Denise, et al., and others. Welcome. It's the first Saturday. It's Saturday, February 1st, 2025. And let's get right into the Good Day Rising prayers. We got a warm fire going, fresh snow, and company. All right, let's get started. In nomine Dei, Matronum Nostra, et Dei Miesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Let us place ourselves in the presence of the Most Holy Trinity, and in Catholic contemplation, humbly venerate the Divine Family. Most Holy and Venerable Trinity, one Divine Family, I believe that Thou art here present. I venerate Thee with the deepest humility. I render to Thee with my whole heart the homage which is due to Thee. O Most Holy Trinity, I firmly believe that Thou art one Divine Family in three Divine Beings, Dea Matronam Nostra et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. And relying on Thine infinite goodness and promises, I hope to obtain pardon of my sins, the help of Thy grace, and life everlasting, through the merits of Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Matronam Nostrae. O Most Holy Trinity, I love Thee above all things with my whole heart and soul, because Thou art, O good and worthy of all love. I love my neighbor as myself, for love of Thee, and I forgive all who've injured me, and ask pardon of all whom I have injured. Let us thank the Most Holy Trinity for the many graces that we receive, and offer ourselves and our sufferings up to heaven and for the souls in purgatory. O Most Holy Trinity, I most humbly thank Thee for all the favors Thou hast bestowed upon me to the present moment. It is again thanks to Thy bounty that I should live to see this day, and I desire to employ it solely in Thy service. I consecrate to Thee all my thoughts, words, actions, and sufferings of this day. Sanctify them, that there may be none that is not animated by Thy love, or that would not tend to Thy greater glory. Let us make a firm resolution to avoid evil and to do good, and let us beg of the Most Holy Trinity the graces which are necessary to us. O Most Holy Trinity, Thou knowest my weakness, and that I am unable to do anything good without the help of Thy grace. Deny me not Thy grace, proportionate to my necessities. Give me strength to avoid everything which Thou forbiddest, to practice the good which Thou hast commanded, and enable me patiently to bear all the trials which it may please Thee to send me. O Most Holy Mother of God, Dea Matronam Nostrae, I place myself under Thy protection. I throw myself with confidence into the arms of Thy compassion. Be to me, O Mother of Mercy, my refuge in distress, my consolation in suffering, now and at the hour of my death. O Most Holy Trinity, as envisioned by Saint Lucia as the Most Holy Trinitarian Theophany, Dea Matronam Nostrae et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, I am heartily sorry for having offended Thee, and I detest all my sins, because I dread the loss of heaven and the pains of hell, but most of all because I have offended Thee, O Most Holy Trinity, who are all good and deserving of all my love. I firmly resolve, with the help of Thy grace, to confess my sins, to do penance, and to amend my life. So I got a little chat going with Peter on the comment section on one of the masses, and he is having this really difficult time of understanding the disconnect between the name Mary and the divine member of the Holy Trinity, Our Lady, God Our Lady, Dea Matronam Nostrae. And he insists that Our Lady is Mary. And he keeps going and seeking outward for the answer. He keeps going to other priests and other people and other Catholics. And he's insisting that we're wrong. I kind of chuckle because you know, this is that understanding is a gift from the Most Holy Trinity, and it comes through discernment and humility, and most above all is praying the Rosary 150. But mostly through humility, because you receive so many graces through the virtue of humility. And when you combine that with the Rosary 150, that's when really you begin to understand things. So I told him, I said, don't seek so much outward, okay? They just don't know, unless, you know, if they're not humble and they're not willing to look into these issues, what's the point? So pray for Peter. All right, we're going to continue a little bit here with Give Yourself Credit. And again, as I'm reading through it, it's frustrating because a lot of these authors are Protestant and they have no concept really of what a Catholic world would look like. So they bring everything back to the basis of the Constitution. And that's not the only document in the world that is for ruling governments or rules for governments or rules for people or whatever. But unfortunately, or fortunately, there's some good ideas in order to get us through this particular time period until we can get more people to understand, and not get them, but to enlighten them, if you will, with our prayers. And like Mr. Nobody had said, the New World Order is done. It's not happening because of what we're doing. And when you sit and contemplate that a little bit, that's a powerful understanding. But how can it be otherwise? And you think, well, that's awful prideful. Not really, because when you discern truth and it comes through humility and in humility, it really stands out as most powerful. And as I think it was Reagan who said, how powerful the children of Fatima and their vision and their apparition and their message is to the world. So they do understand that. All right, so let's talk a little bit, chapter 2, dismal deflation. Deflation is a shortage of the people's buying power relative to the power of the nation to produce. But when production is cut down, as usually happens in a depression, then workers lose their jobs and the people's buying power is still further reduced relative to the power of the nation to produce. The country and the people get progressively poorer, and nobody profits except the people who either have hoarded money, and usually they do that, this is me, usually do that through deceptive or, unfair practices and things like that. Or the people who have the power to create it in the first place, such as the banks. For all they have to do is sit on their money or their power to create it and watch the price of everything go down to their advantage, which means that the purchasing power of their withheld money goes up correspondingly. Depression is another word for deflation. Depressions are never caused by overproduction. They are caused by underconsumption, which is in turn caused by a lack of buying power in the hands of would-be consumers. So the one and only thing to do when faced with, okay, now here's where they get into their limited understanding of options. It's like the left-right paradigm. Well, we only have the Republican and the Democratic Party, so that's all we have. And so they limit themselves. It's a psychological technique. So the one and only thing to do when faced with deflation is to increase the buying power of the people. The first thing that is needed is the creation of an additional supply of new money in such a way as to not increase debt, so that it will be available to the masses of the people for expenditures on the services and goods which producers are eager and needing to produce and sell. And again, there's that word debt. Mr. Nobody also replied with an insight on the Lord's Prayer and debt. Why is debt in the Lord's Prayer? Why is the word debt and debtors? And now it makes sense, because that's the system that they want us in, is this system of debt and debtors. And then they play it off like, well, forgive them. No, you don't have debt to begin with. You don't run your world on debt. That's why the Lord's Prayer is not a Catholic prayer. That is a Jewish prayer. Okay, that is fact. To put the matter simply and concisely, the general thing that is needed when deflation threatens, as like now, is to have Congress or its appointed agency create the proper amount of national debt-free money or debt-free credit on the Treasury books and use it to expand the present monetary system into a national program that will put active buying power directly into the hands of our people, who will spend it for the general good. I noticed the author put our people. He's talking about Protestants there. There is simply no good reason why the people of this nation should be called upon to suffer through another period of deflation and business stagnation. Not if Congress does its constitutional duty as we insist. And yet at the same time, he understands that the Constitution is bankrupt. Okay, the Constitution has no effect. That's why they keep saying that in the courts. If you hear them read that out in courts, it says that document doesn't have any effect in here. He's telling the truth. It doesn't, because it's null and void when you go bankrupt. There is no need to fear inflation as long as our national productive capacity is not exceeding its 100% capacity to produce. All right. Let's see. Good times and bad. That was the end of dismal deflation. We haven't seen that in our lifetimes. I mean, there might be a sprinkle of one or two. No, they're probably not too old. That which happened to America after the stock market crash of 29 was something like what happened to America in 1896, when for the first time disappointed and penniless seekers after homestead land started to trek back eastward again. And again, remember, all history is wrong, or it's a lie. So reading this is, again, this author's quote unquote understanding of history as he was told in his Protestant school. All right, and so he's putting this forth. So I'm going to suffer through this just to get to some of the good points. Having found that the last good prairie land was gone, and that the lands they had tried to farm could not sustain their families under those circumstances. For 2.5 centuries, Americans had taken completely for granted that they could move west and make a new start whenever they needed to. These dejected land seekers coming back east symbolized the end of an epoch full of hope for the common folk. So, at the close of 1929 and 1930, America faced for the first time the fact that her old methods of achieving economic and industrial expansion could not continue forever any more than her people searched for fertile farmlands in the West. Another great American epoch had come to an end. So when the quote-unquote New Deal was born under Franklin Delano Roosevelt, We reacted in accordance with the law of self-preservation because we instinctively knew that times like those of the past were gone and were never coming back because of the increasing division of labor, the increasing interdependence of the people, and the complete absence of a free land frontier. The tremendous obstacles to people of little means in surviving the Great Depression and starting over again meant that the country could not again stand a period when the government just stood by and watched the credit structure collapse. Periods of bankruptcy were the price that had to be paid for the government letting the economic life of the country alone no matter what may come. For under the debt-laden monetary system that we have today, periods of boom brought about by the credit expansion of private banks must always be followed by periods of unemployment and depression. When credit contraction takes place and unsupportable debt burdens are allowed to collapse and be written off into bankruptcy, economic hopelessness and loss affect millions of people and many businesses too. Sorry, I had to chuckle. The next line. The ancient Hebrews had a better way. Sick. I mean, that is exactly what he says. But every 7 years, they canceled all debt and started over freshly anew. The farmers didn't have to give up their farms, and families didn't have to give up their homes, so their system worked very well. What I'd like is for somebody to dig up, because you cannot find it anywhere, because that's another part of history that's been scrubbed. There were hundreds of years of happy, successful Catholic society under monarchy, and I'd like to find some sort of books on that. So if anybody knows of any that they can recommend, please let me know. Again, it's all scrubbed. They do not want people to understand that the world can be prosperous and happy and without all the debt and all that sort of thing, without having to forgive debt because there is none under Catholic monarchy. And it has happened in the past, only it's been scrubbed. The history of it. Only by using the most illogical and utterly unsound measures can industrial expansion be supported today under the debt, monetary, and financial system we use. Now, this is what Trump has been speaking about lately, is going back to the late 1800s and this industrial expansion again. Okay, they're going to just start this whole process all over again. Some of those illogical and unsound methods of attempting to make the economic system of today add up have already been tried. I'm going to jump ahead because I wanted to get to the point here. Something else had to happen to make up this deficiency of consumer buying power, or the goods produced can't be sold. A war, for example, is one of the illogical and certainly tragic and wasteful ways the economic system can be gotten to add up. That was a poor sentence, but during a war, the government borrows a lot of money from the banks at interest and spends it on armaments and troops. Armaments are something the people can't buy, though they receive wages for producing it. And all other industries gain this additional buying power to add to what they pay out themselves. It keeps them going by giving them a dependable market for which to produce. Of course, the cost of war requires a tremendous addition to the national debt. But war wasn't the only thing that kept our industries going in pre-New Deal times. So I wanted to talk about, they've been trying to foment this avenue for resetting, if you will, the monetary system through war, and it's cyclical. If you know anything about, I think his name is Michael Yon, and his reporting, he's a military reporter running around. He, has documented the cycle where with the financial issues, and then you go to the war, and then they set up their new system. the idea of a Catholic monarchy eliminates all of that. Yes, you have to have defense, okay, but we don't do it through debt. So, people, let's see. I think I'm going to skip over this chapter because it's really not that relevant to what we need to understand, because it has to do with a flawed system that they're trying to reintroduce. Tomorrow we'll talk about, at least according to them, is real wealth production. And for those who want to get this book, I would also recommend that you get Father Fahey's book on money. I can't remember the exact name of the book, but money is in the name of the book. But it's Father Fahey, Fahey. And he was a Catholic priest in the early 1900s, explaining the monetary failings from a Catholic perspective at that time. So that should be like a companion book. But again, I'd like to find some, if we could ask Dea Matronum Nostri to present that to us, some information that hasn't been corrupted about times of Catholic monarchies. All right, let's get started with Mass. And who else has joined? Rebecca, thank you for being here. All right. One thing I did want to mention, one of the ladies who's helping me out with understanding the negotiable instruments mentioned last night that a friend of hers that they're working with did receive remedy from the IRS in the amount of like $2.3 million. However, there was some sort of mistake that they're working on as far as adding somebody to it. It involves the trust process, which gets a little complicated, and I'm still at the baby stages. I'll keep you posted. Deum vobiscum et quoque pote, oremus. O most holy Trinity, the Creator and Redeemer of all the faithful, grant to the souls of thy servants and handmaids the remission of all their sins, that they may obtain by loving prayers the forgiveness which they have always desired, who livest and reignest with thee, one divine family, forever and ever. Suscipe Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum hoc immaculatum hostiam, quam ego indinius famulos tuos offeriti Deum meum verum, pro innumerabilibus peccatis et offensionibus et negligentis meis, et pro omnibus circumstantibus, sed et pro omnibus fidelibus Catholicorum, vivis atque defunctis ut mihi et idis proficiedat salutem. Deum qui humanae substantia dignitatem mirabilitu condidisi et mirabilius reformaster da nobis peruis atque tu vini mysterium, eius divinitatis esse consortis qui militatis nostrae, fieri natus est parteceps Deum Iesum Christum Filium, qui tecum vivit et regnat in unitati Deum Patrum, Spiritum Sanctum. Offerimus tibi Deum calicem salutaris tuum deprecantis clementium, ut spectu divinae majestatis tuae, pro nostra totius mundis salute, cum adoris suavitatis ascendat. In spiritu humilitatis et in animo contrito, suscipiam rata Deum Iesum Christum, et sic fiat sacrificium nostrum et spectu hodie, Uplaciat tibi Deum Matronam Nostra et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Veni sanctificator. Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Et sanctificite blata prosequendo, et accepere hoc sacrificium tuo sancto nomini praeparatum. Suscipe Sancta Trinitas Sancoblationum quam tibi aferimus a memoriam passionis resurrectionis et ascensionis Deum Iesum Christum, et in honoram Deum Matronam Nostra et Papa Peter Sanctorum et Istorum et omnium Sanctorum, ut illis proficiat ad honorem nobis autem et salutem et libro nobis intercede et in aeterna caelis, quorum memoriam agimus in te dispedidum Christum Deum nostrum. Orate ut meum ac vestrum sacrificium acceptabile fiat ab Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Suscipia Deum Iesum Christum sacrificium de manibus tuis et laudam et gloriam nomini sui ad utiditatem quoque nostram totiusque ecclesiae suae sanctae. Deum obiscum, quoque potei, surusum corda habemus ad Deum, gratias agamus Deum nostrum, dignum et justum est. Te ige clementissimi Mater et Pater, Deum Matronam Nostra et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, Deum Iesum Christum Filium Tuum Deum Nostrae, supplices oramus et petimus, ut accepte habeas et sanctificas, haec sanctam sacrificium irribata, in primis quae tibi afferimus pro ecclesiam tuam sanctam catholicam, quam pacificare custodire ad honore et regere dineris toto obiterarum atque catholicae. Memento Deum famulum nobis caetorum. We pray for the sick and the suffering. We especially pray for Luis Cantu, Katie, Gage, RM, Neil Monroe Lively, Maria Josephina Mose, Letitia, Clarette, Mindy, Mark Jr., Robert Dosco Sr. and Jr., Henry, Barbara, and Benedict Santa Croce, Mr. Nobody, the Cantu and Duarte families, Michaela McLarnon and family, Sarah and Becky, Jenna, Lena, Lori, Aaron and family, Maria and the Lineweber family, the Kendrick, Dosco, Nye, Tafur, Vegan, Wolf, and Kane families, and all their intentions. We pray for Mr. Nobody to receive the funding and strength needed to complete the first Sede Vacantis Catholic Council office in Monastery of Illinois. We pray for an end to all governmental allowance or sanctioning of abortion, transgenderism, transhumanism, child trafficking, child abuse of any kind, anywhere, place, or time. We pray for the establishment of a Catholic monarchy with a sound Catholic system of labor, human value, medium of exchange with no usury and no debt. We pray for courageous men to step forward as leaders of this Catholic society to learn and understand how that will work. We ask for the conversion of all sinners trapped in a state of mortal sin, especially the ignorant. We ask that the people come to understand, that everyone comes to understand the importance of humility, the virtue of humility, and how it is a key for wisdom. We pray for the elimination of all harmful radiation waves in our air and in our homes. We pray to make known publicly who murdered Saint Lucia. We ask Deum Matronam Nostra et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum with this Mass to destroy the satanic document of Vatican law, that is the Jewish Talmud, that you destroy Rome and the Vatican and recognize the transfer of the authority of the Catholic Church to Fatima, Portugal, that you release the souls controlled by the demons Lilith and Asmodeus and send those demons back through any portals and gateways to hell where they belong. Please wake up the people to the lies of animal disease. Give them strength to resist. It is all about depopulation and not about health and safety. Please destroy all forms of Freemasonry and its tentacles everywhere throughout the lands, and bring the members into the submission of the Trinitarian Theophany through correct baptism and confession and the teaching of the virtues, Catholic virtues. All this we ask in accordance with the Most Holy Trinity's divine will. Et omnium circumstantiam coram tibi fidis conit est et nota devotio propibus tibi ferimus, velque tibi afrotox sacrificium laudis, pro se suisque omnibus, pro redemptione animarum suarum, pro spe salutis et equalamitatis suae, tibi credunt vota sua, aeterno Deum vivo et vero, communicantes et memoriam venerantes in primis gloriosae, semper Deum maternam nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et beatorum martyrium tuorum Papis Sancti Petri, et Sancti Luci, et Sancti Jacinta, et Sancti Francisco, et Sancti Juan Diego, et omnium sanctorum tuorum quorum meritis, praecibusque cancedas ut in onibus, protectionis tuae monum exidio pedium in Christum Deum nostrum. Quam oblationem de Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum in omnibus, consecratum a captabulum quae digneris ut nobis corpum, et sanguim fiat didictissimi filium tuum Deum Iesum Christum, qui pridie quam patoretur cepet panem in sanctus aquanabis manus suas, et derivatis oculis in caelum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum suum omnipotentem tibi gratias agens, consecravit frege didiculum sudigens accipite, et manducate ex hoc omnes. Hoc est enim corpus meum. Simili modo postquam ceremonia est excipiens et hunc preclarum cadicem in sanctus aquanabilis manus suas et in tibi gratias agens Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Consecravit dedique lumnis sui dicens accipite et vivite ex omnes. Hic est enim calix sanguinis mei mysterium fidei, quae pro nobis et pro multis effundetur in remissione peccatorum. Aequates cum praeficeritis in memoram facetis. Unde et memores Deum nos servituis et plebs tua sancta Iestum Christum filium tuum Deum nostrae. Tam beate passionis nec non et inferis resurrectionis, sed et in caelos gloriosae ascensionis aferimus, praeclarae maiestati tue de tuis donis actatis, supra quae propitio ac sereno vutur respicieri digneris. Supplices te regamus Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum iube hec perferi, per manus tuum ut quod, ex hoc lataris participationis sacrosanctum Deum Filium tuum, corpus et sanguinem sensenimus, omni sanctificatione cae lesi gratia Dei per amor per in Christum Deum nostrae. We pray for those who have died, and we especially pray for William Bill Vermey, for whom this Mass is being offered. Ipsis Deum et omnibus in Christum quiscentibus locum refugere lucis et pacis ut odor gesta proclamor per in Christum Deum nostrum, per quem hic omnia Deum Iesum Christum semper bona creas sanctificas, vivicas consecratis et praestas nobis. Per ipsum et cum ipso et in ipso, est tibi Deum maternum omnipotenti in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, omnis honor et gloria. Ave Dea, matronam nostrae, gratia plena Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum tecum. Sanctam tuum in mulieribus, Dea matronam nostrae, matram Deum Iesum Christum, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. libera nos quae sumus Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum abonibus malis praeteritis praesentibus et futuris et interregenet in beata glorias semper Deum Matram nostrae, cum Papa Petrum Sanctorum et omnibus sanctis propitiis pacem Deus nostris. Ut ope misericordiae Tuae aduit et peccato simus semper liberi et aboni perturbatione securi. Pedeendum Deum nostrum, Iesum Christum Filium Tuum Deum nostrum, qui tecum vivit et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per aeternam. Pax Deum Iesum Christum sit semper vobiscum et quoque pote. Haec mixtio et consecratio corporis et sanguinis Deum Iesum Christum, fiat excipientibus nobis in ad salutem aeternam. Pax tecum et quoque pote. Deum Iesum Christum, qui ex voluntate Deum matronam nostrae, cooperante Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per mortem tuam unum vivificasti, libera me per hoc sacro sanctum corpus et sanguinum tuum abonibus iniquitatibus meis, et universis malis, et fac me tui semper in harara mandatis, et atinum quam separati penalitas, qui cum eodem Deum matronam nostrae, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, vivis et regnam aeternam, perceptio corporis tui Deum Iesum Christum, quod ego indi in sumere praesimo non mihi proveniat in idicum et condonationem, sed pro tua pietate, prosit mihi ad tutumentum et isse corporis, et ad me delam percipiendum qui vivis et reinas, cum Deum matronam nostrae in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Panem celestem accipiem et nomen Deum Iesum Christum invocabo. Deum matronam nostrae non sunt dignius, ut intercedete meis in tante de glorias nobis mea. Deum Iesum Christum non sunt dignius, ut intercedete meis in tante de glorias nobis mea. Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum non sunt dignius, ut intercedete meis in tante de glorias nobis mea. Corpus Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima mea. Quid retubum Deum Iesum Christum pro omnibus quae retubit mihi, calicem salutatis accipiem et nomen Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum invocabo, laudans invocabo Deum matronam nostrae et ab inimicis meis salvosero. Sanguis Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima mea. Corpus Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet animam tuum. Quod orisum sumus Deum Iesum Christum puramente capiamus et immunere tempore fit nobis remedium sempiternum. Corpus tuum Deum Iesum Christum quod sanguis quam potavi et hediat visceribus meis apraesta, ut in me non remaniat scelera macula quam pura et sancta reficerunt sacramenta. Deum vobiscum, et quoque apote. Oremus. May the prayer of thy suppliants profit the souls of thy servants and handmaids, we beseech thee, O most holy Trinity, that thou mayest free them from all sins and make them sharers in thy redemption, who livest and reignest with thee, one divine family, forever and ever. Deum vobiscum, et quoque apote, ite mises, Deum gratia. Plagia tibi sancta Trinitam obsequiam servitutis meae, et praesta ut sacrificium coroculis tuae maestatis in uno subterriti seta, captavere miquet omnibus, proquibus idut optulis siti miserante propitiabile per Christum Deum nostrum. Sanctificat vos omnipotens Deum, Matronam et Filium et Spiritum Sanctum, Deum Matronam Nostra, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gracias. O most holy Trinity, I believe, I venerate, I hope, and I love thee. I beg of thee pardon for those who do not believe, do not venerate, do not hope, and do not love thee. Most holy Trinity, Deum Matronam Nostra, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, I venerate thee profoundly, and I offer to thee the most precious body, blood, soul, and divinity of God Jesus Christ, who was, is, and ever shall be, present here in reparation for the outrages, sacrileges, and indifference by which he himself is offended. And through the infinite merits of his most sacred heart and the immaculate heart of God our Lady, who was, is, and ever shall be, I beg of thee the conversion of poor sinners. In nomine Dei Matronam Nostra, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gracias. Thank you for being here. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And yeah, if anybody's hunting for or coming across books with regards to Catholic hierarchy, not hierarchy, Catholic monarchy, the times and like societies during them, how life was lived, stories of that sort, I'd be very interested, because all we get here in the States is Protestant versions of history. All right. Please go and sanctify all those you meet. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a great day.